In our preceding classes, we have discussed the development experience of India in detail. This is the last chapter of economic development of India. Here we intend to compare India's development experience with two of its important neighboring countries, China and Pakistan. It is interesting to note that all the three countries embarked on the path of development at about the same time. India and Pakistan gained independence in 1947, while the People's of Republic of China was established in 1949. We know that India is an underdeveloped or a less developed country. An underdeveloped or less developed country may be defined as one where per capita income is low and it is so for its underutilized potential. Underdeveloped countries as a whole have some common or general features. These features are low per capita income, predominance of agriculture, high population pressure, colonial pattern of trade, poor quality of human capital, dual economy, unequal distribution of income and wealth, underutilized natural resources, low rate of capital formation, high rate of unemployment and underemployment, underdeveloped money market, and many more. As a less developed economy, India shares most of these common features. Now let us briefly explain the development strategies of these three countries, India, Pakistan, and China. Development strategies of China. After the establishment of People's Republic of China under one-party rule on 1949, all critical sectors of the economy, enterprises, and lands owned and operated by individuals were brought under government control. The Great Leap Forward campaign, initiated in 1958, aimed at industrializing the country on a massive scale. People were encouraged to set up industries in their backyards. In rural areas, communes were started. Under the commune system, people collectively cultivated lands. In 1958, there were 26,000 communes covering almost all the farm's population. So, two important things we need to remember here. The Great Leap Forward campaign initiated in 1958. And what is the purpose? That is the industrialization. And commune system started in 1958. Great Leap Forward campaign met with many problems. A severe drought caused havoc in China, killing about 30 million people. When Russia had conflicts with China, it withdrew its professionals who had earlier been sent to China to help in the industrialization process. In 1965, Mao introduced the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. So, Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution was started in 1965. During this period, 1966 to 1976, under which students and professionals were sent to work and learn from the countryside. When the Russia withdrew its professionals, then China started the work with the students and professionals. The present day first industrial growth in China can be traced back to the reforms introduced in 1978. So in which year the reforms in China introduced? That is in 1978. China introduced reforms in phases. In the initial phase, reforms are initiated in agriculture, foreign trade, and investment sectors. In agriculture, for instance, commune lands were divided into small plots which were allocated. But allocated for what purpose? For use, not for ownership, to individual households. That is allocated to individual households to only for use, not as an ownership. They were allowed to keep all incomes from the land after paying stipulated taxes to the government. In the later phase, reforms were initiated in the industrial sector, private sector firms in general, and township and village enterprises. That is, those enterprises which are owned and operated by local collectives, in particular, were allowed to produce goods. At this stage, enterprises owned by government, known as state-owned enterprises, they're known in China, state-owned enterprises. The reform process also involved dual pricing. This means fixing the prices in two ways. Farmers and industrials units were required to buy and sell fixed quantities of input and output on the basis of price fixed by the government. That is, one by the government, and the rest were purchased and sold at market prices. So one is controlled price by the government, the other one is market price, which is determined by the free forces of demand and supply in the market. Over the years, as production increased, the proportion of goods and inputs transacted in the market also increased. In order to attract foreign investors, special economic zones were set up in China. So these are the strategies adopted by China for its development. Now let us see the development strategies of Pakistan. Pakistan also follows the mixed economy model that is similar to Indian economy with coexistence of public and private sectors. So mixed economy model means coexistence of public and private sectors. In the late 1950s and 1960s, Pakistan introduced a variety of regulated policy framework. One of them is import substitution based industrialization. The policy combined tariff protection for manufacturing of consumer goods together with direct control, import control on competing imports. The introduction of Green Revolution led to mechanism and increase in public investment in infrastructure in selected areas, which finally led to a rise in the production of food grains. So the result of Green Revolution, there is increase in the food production. This changed the agrarian structure dramatically. In the 1970s, nationalization of capital goods industries took place. In which year? 1970. That is the nationalization of capital goods industries. Pakistan then shifted its policy orientation in the late 1970s and 1980s when the major thrust areas were denationalization and encouragement of private sector. During this period, Pakistan also received financial support from Western nations and remittances from continuously increasing outflow of immigrants to the Middle East. The inflow of financial support from the Western nations and the Middle East. This helped the country in stimulating economic growth. The then government also offered incentives to the private sector. All this created a conducive climate for new investments. In 1988, reforms were initiated in the country. So which year the reforms were initiated in Pakistan? 1988. Development strategies of India. Sound trade system. India was a country which had the history of closed trade. Because of this historical background, there is a critical challenge for India in order to make a new policy which can support the new open trade system. This new reform in economies of India has been introduced and accelerates the economic growth of India. Which year? 1991. So reforms were made in 1991 in India. Reduction in poverty. India has adopted several poverty alleviation programs to reduce poverty in India. This would help in increasing per capita income, rise in nutrition level of poor, and there is a subsequent fall in percentage of absolute poor in some states. Rural development. Under this strategy, India adopted various measures for the development of areas that are lagging behind in the overall development of village economy. Finally, employment generation. Several economic reforms were initiated to generate employment in the country, and their aim is to provide gainful self-employment and skilled wage employment opportunities. So these were the strategies, the important strategies that are adopted by India. All three countries had started planning their development strategies in similar ways. While India announced its first 5-year plan for 1951-56, Pakistan announced its first 5-year plan, now called the Medium Term Development Plan, in 1956. China announced its first 5-year plan in 1953. Pakistan is working on the basis of 12th 5-year development plan, 2018-2023, whereas China is now working on 13th 5-year plan, 2016-2020. Until March 2017, India has been following 5-year plan based development model. But after 2017, India started to follow the Niti Aayog. India and Pakistan adopted similar strategies such as creating a large public sector and raising public expenditure on social development. Till the 1980s, all the three countries had similar growth rates and per capita income. But thereafter, we find changes. In our next class, we'll explain the important characteristics of the growth of all these three countries, and we'll compare their development strategies. That's all. Thank you.